So good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar session brought to you by University of Kent and Shiksha Study Abroad. This is an informative session on all UG and PG courses available at University of Kent. Before I move further, I would like to introduce our presenter today, Emma Spittles, who is in charge of the admissions and recruitments. And before Emma starts with the presentation, I would like to make a request to all the students to ask any query or any questions. Please use the Q&A box, and to talk to Emma directly, you can always use your raise hand button. And in the second half of the session, we will unmute you, and you will be able to ask your queries directly to the Emma. So stage is all yours, Emma. All the best.
Perfect. Thank you, Chandra. Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us today. I apologise for being a little bit late. There was a bit of miscommunication with the timing, but I'm really grateful for all of you to join us today. As Chandra said, my name is Emma, and I work at the University of Kent. I am the International Officer for India and the rest of South Asia. And for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our university, give you a bit more insight about what it's like to study here, and really focus on some of the unique aspects of studying at our university. So without further ado, I'm going to sort of head straight into the presentation. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the University of Kent, and then focus on some of our unique aspects. So thinking about the location and the different campuses, what study options are available here at Kent, and then focus on things such as what it's like to be a student here at our university. So just a brief introduction about the university. So we were established in 1965, and we are a top 50 UK university. And our reputation is very much known as being a research-led teaching university. And what that means is that all of the academic staff we have here at Kent are not only involved with teaching their relevant courses, but are also actively participate in research in their respective areas. So what you will find is many of the degrees that we have here are actually based on the research that the actual teachers and the professors are conducting. So what that means is that you would get expert academic knowledge of your subject, but also you would get relevant and up-to-date and current information on that respective area. So it's a great way to not only get the sort of the background knowledge, but also having access to the relevant and current information of your respective course. Because of that, we are, as I said, our reputation is very much research-led teaching. We are ranked in the top 20 for research intensity. And it's not just about having that research background, but also having that kind of international focus. We are ranked in the top 10% of the world's universities for having that international outlook. And it's not just about sort of the teaching, but also kind of the population that we have. Approximately 18,000 students come and study with us each year. Last year, we had about 164 different nationalities. And it's not just the student population that's from various different international backgrounds. Nearly 40% of our academic staff are from outside of the UK. So again, it gives you that perspective, having that kind of international context when you are studying here with us at Kent. So one of the unique things about Kent is very much our location. So as you will see here from the screen, from the map, we have 4 campuses in total. We have 2 that are based in the UK and 2 that are in Europe. So our main campus is the Canterbury campus, which you'll see here is very close proximity to London. And our second campus in the UK is the Medway campus, which again is very close to London. And I'll sort of touch upon those individual campuses very soon. We also have 2 campuses in Europe, one in Brussels and one in Paris, and these are specialist postgraduate centres. So the Canterbury campus, as you will see from the image here, it is a very large campus. It is set on the outskirts of Canterbury city centre. And as you can see, it's very wide, expansive, lots of tranquil, green, open spaces. So it's a really great place for students to study, but also get that really nice kind of balance when you are doing your course here at Kent. We have approximately 16,000 students who study at Canterbury itself, and it's not just built around accommodation, about academic facilities, but there's also over 5,000 accommodation rooms available on the Canterbury campus. So the vast majority of students who study with us do stay on campus as well. As well as the academic facilities, you have lots of purpose-built award-winning buildings on campus. And you also have lots of kind of recreational facilities as well. So whether it be a sports centre, there's a theatre, a cinema, lots of shops and restaurants and food places. It's a really great place to kind of meet friends and do that kind of social aspect of studying with us as well. And as I mentioned, the campus itself is a very short distance from Canterbury city centre. So in case of you who don't know Canterbury, it is a World UNESCO Heritage Site. So it is location of the Canterbury Cathedral, which receives thousands of tourists each year. Lots of visitors come to Canterbury. But the great thing about Canterbury is actually quite a small city, particularly in comparison to Indian cities. The population, I think, is usually around sort of 20,000 people that live in Canterbury. So it's definitely on the smaller scale to probably what many of you are used to. But one of the really great things about Canterbury being a university city is that lots of the facilities and lots of the infrastructure are there to support students. So what you will find is that many students who are based at the Canterbury campus will often get that 20-minute bus ride to Canterbury city centre and have lots of facilities, whether it's access to the hospitality, but also kind of a lot of students would work there as well. So it's a really great place to have your base for your studies while you're with us. The other campus here in the UK is the Medway Campus. So it's only a short distance from the Canterbury campus. It's a little bit smaller in size, but the really great thing about it is a very historical part of the UK. So the Medway Campus itself is a formal naval base. So I'm not sure if you can see from the images on the screen. So a lot of the buildings in the campus are reclaimed naval buildings. So it really gives it a lot of character and a really historic focus. And one of the really great things, because it is a little bit smaller, it does have a friendly, close-knit community. So a lot of students would come and study there from various different backgrounds and doing various different courses as well. A lot of the business programs are delivered there. A lot of sort of the journalism programs and some of the medical programs as well are delivered there as well. So it's a really great place to kind of build a really good, strong community spirit and be part of that community here at Medway. And like the Canterbury campus, in terms of its connectivity to other parts of the UK, Medway and Canterbury have fantastic links to London. Canterbury is about an hour's train ride. The Medway is about 40 minutes by train. So I know for many of you, being close to London, having that possibility of that connection is so important when it comes to your university choice. And Kent does offer that to you. But one of the really great things is that being further away from London, you do benefit from a slightly lower cost of living. So where you have that close connection, but at that slightly cheaper rate as well. So again, as a student, when it comes to budgeting, we all know that, you know, budgeting effectively is so important. So staying at a university campus, whether at Medway or Canterbury, will allow you to live a little bit cheaper here in the UK. Okay, and just briefly touch upon the European campuses, because that's one thing that makes Kent quite unique when compared to other UK universities. We do have two bases that are in Europe. The first one is Brussels, which is the home of the Kent-Brussels School for International Studies. And this one specifically focuses on postgraduate. Let's go back, that's not right. Postgraduate courses, so things such as international relations, international migration, conflict analysis. There's also a lot of law programs that are studied at Brussels. And one of the unique things about the Brussels campus is that being the centre of European policy and European politics is a really great place to study these particular courses. And many of the courses that are offered at the Brussels campus are offered at both January and a September start. So if you are looking to a postgraduate course in these subject areas, then Brussels might be an option for you to consider. And similarly, the Paris campus is a fantastic option to have if you are looking to go into kind of cultural arts programs. Again, being the center of kind of this historic place, being the heart of Europe and studying these kind of humanities and arts courses, again, it's a really good option to have. Similarly to Brussels, they do offer flexibility in terms of start dates, whether it be kind of September or the January start. So it's a good option to think about if you are looking into going into those particular courses. So the next unique thing about Kent is the study options we have. And one of our mantras that we have at the university is about providing all students the platform to succeed, whatever their plans for the future may be. So what we do is we really invest in offering students a wide variety of courses, both the undergrad all the way through to master's and PhD as well. I'm going to give you sort of a very brief overview about what the types of programs we have. So we have over 400 programs to study, as I said, at various different levels, and they're offering a wide range of subject areas. So for most, in the past, we have welcomed a large number of Indian students to come and study here at Kent, and they do tend to go with sort of the broad sort of subjects of business are generally the most popular for Indian students, both at undergrad and postgraduate level. I know programs such as the business analytics, the management and leadership programs, but also a lot of the finance programs as well tend to be extremely popular. Other programs that we do attract a large number of Indian students are generally in the law field as well. I know particularly sort of the Kent Law School offers a wide range of, particularly at master's levels, a wide range of specialist subjects, looking at things such as corporate law, environmental law, human rights law. All of these areas are very, very popular. Other courses you might want to consider tend to be in the architectural field, particularly at bachelor's level. We do attract a large number of Indian students who want to do their undergraduate studies in that field. Also psychology and computer science and engineering also offer a wide range of subject areas. The great thing about Canterbury and Medway campuses in particular is that they do offer a wide range of courses. And so I definitely would recommend those who are watching, if you do have a particular subject that you're interested in, definitely have a look at the Kent website, because I'm guaranteed that the course will be there for you. If there are other study options you are looking at, particularly looking for sort of pre-sessional programs or a foundation program, if your standard 12 examinations are not sufficient enough to get onto an undergraduate course, then these might be available for you at Kent as well. So again, do have a look at the website because there's lots of information on there. One of the unique things about many of the courses we have here at Kent is they do come accredited by professional bodies in their respective areas. So bodies such as the Association of MBAs, the British Psychological Society, or the Royal Society of Biology, which accredits many of our bioscience programs. So that's, again, it's a really good indication of the strength of the particular degree and also the relevance to that particular topic and that particular field after. And what we do find, particularly for students who are doing these degrees that come with accreditations, it really gives them that competitive edge when it comes to looking for jobs afterwards. Because we all know that employers, they want to see people who have a background, educational background in that particular subject area. So when they see they have a degree from the University of Kent, that's very much kind of a recognition of that person's strength, but also the fact that the degree they did was accredited by a professional organisation, again, really helps them and gives them that competitive edge when they are competing for jobs. In terms of the tuition fees, so for courses starting this September, they range from about 17,400 up to 21,200. And we categorise our tuition fees in two ways. So that we have a lab fee, which tends to be on the 21,000, and a standard non-lab fee. So for most of the programs that are looking at sort of biosciences, computer-related programs, engineering, tend to be on the lab sort of category, which is the 21,000. I know School of Psychology and Law tend to be around the 17,000, 18,000 routes. So just to kind of give you an idea about how much it would cost to study here at Kent. And for those of you who are looking for courses that's starting this September, particularly for undergraduate students, I'm sure many of you have heard of this term clearing we have here in the UK. And basically this will open up all undergraduate courses we have here at Kent are available to students to apply to submit late. So if you haven't applied for your course yet, your undergraduate course, and you're interested in doing a course that starts this September, then clearing might be the option for you. You would be eligible to use clearing if you've applied to UCAS but haven't received any offers before the 30th of June. So if you've already applied but you haven't received any offers, then again, clearing might be something to consider. I know for many of you, recently done exams and you may have already got your exam results or you're still waiting. If your exam results are slightly less than what you were expecting and you might need to look for alternative courses, then clearing again is definitely an option for you. If you have applied to UCAS and the courses that you've applied are not quite right and you don't feel that that's a quite good fit enough for you, then again, it's nothing wrong in changing your mind. We all do that, and we all know that circumstances change. And if you do want to switch topics and switch courses, then again, clearing will allow you to do that. And one of the other things to be aware of, if you haven't applied through clearing before, you haven't applied through UCAS before, you can still apply through the clearing process. So again, if you are applying for an undergraduate course and you want to do it in September 22, you haven't left it, it's, you know, obviously kind of the fact that we're in mid-July, you still have enough time to apply for your course. So have a look on the website, the link is on the screen, and you can see the different options for the clearing. For here at the University of Kent, the vast majority of our undergraduate courses are available through the clearing programme. I think the only ones that might not be available are the medical programmes, but everything else generally is on there. So all of the courses, there's a searchable list on the website that you can see. And again, just to sort of reiterate how to apply for clearing this year. So there are two ways. If you've applied through UCAS before, you have to go back through UCAS. You can do it via UCAS Hub, and that's where you can indicate what courses you want to apply through clearing. If you've never applied through UCAS before and you don't intend to, you can apply directly to the University of Kent through our website. And you can do that by navigating to the course page itself and clicking on Apply Now and completing the online screen. One thing to really, really note, and I cannot stress this enough, is that you can only apply for clearing if you have your results already. So it's really important to make sure that you have your results, because you will need to provide your transcripts when you do come to apply. Very slowly moving on. So I now want to focus on the other aspects of studying at Kent, because we know that when you are looking to study abroad, you know, academic studies is one aspect, but it's not the main aspect. And here at Kent, we do pride ourselves on giving students an inspirational student experience, because we know it's not all about your studies. So how do we do that, Kent? So we do that through a number of different areas. We firstly offer ways to enhance your degree. So we offer a lot of co-curricular and extracurricular activities where students can get involved outside of their normal studies. We have a Study Plus scheme, which is a really good way to kind of get experience and exposure in different subject areas beyond your usual course. Often these programs are not credited, so they wouldn't contribute towards your final degree. However, it really gives you a good insight. So if you're doing a law degree and you're particularly interested in marketing, for example, there's a possibility you could do a marketing module alongside your law degree to give you that, you know, to build on that interest level that you have. One thing that we do really well here at Kent is that we do offer a lot of work experience opportunities. So whether it be through placements, internships, but also a lot of our programs, both the undergraduate and postgraduate, offer year in industry opportunities. And these are a fantastic way of getting work experience, particularly for students who may have just come out of school or university and don't have any experience. We all know that when it comes to looking for jobs afterwards, potential employers really do value people with that work experience. So it really helps you to not only get exposure to a particular, a topic or particular industry that you want to work in, but it also gives your CV that really good boost and shows you that you have that work experience that will help you to progress on your career after your studies. We do offer a lot of other sort of ways in which students can develop their skills. Kent's Q-Step Centre, if I can say that properly, it very much gives all students that study skills looking at things such as social analytics. So if you're interested in developing your quantitative or qualitative skills, then doing these initiatives, these support courses are a really good way to build up that expertise. Particularly for undergraduate students, we offer a lot of programs that are built over the summer. So we have full sort of summer schools program that students can get involved with. But there are other ways that students can kind of get experience, whether it be through volunteering or doing participation in sports or societies as well. So again, really building up that kind of experience outside of your academic studies. And just very briefly talk about the Kent Union, which plays a massive part in the University of Kent. So they are located both at Canterbury and the Medway campuses. So you will have access to them depending on which campus you are based at. And the Kent Union, the key thing to note is that it's represents students, but it's also run by students. And they do a lot more than what people generally would think initially. Obviously, they do a lot of active social life stuff, whether it be at the nightclub or the bar or the club, all the societies and things that they organise. But they do offer a lot more than that. They have a really great advice and support network, which students can meet with other students to talk about anything to do with their studies, whether it's academic stuff or whether it's kind of things relating to their stay here at Kent. So things such as welfare, finance, if they're having issues with their accommodation or whatever it can be, they can go and get advice from the Kent Union, from students, from their peers. And it's a really good option for students to have, whilst they are studying here at Kent. They also do a lot in terms of employability. So they have a job shop where I think last year about 7,500 students registered. They do a lot of things in terms of outreach and organising recruitment fairs where employers come into the university and meet with students and tell you what it's like to work in this particular industry. So again, for students as a whole, to get that sort of support and guidance from their network of peers is a really fantastic resource to use. And it really helps to give students that inspirational student experience whilst they're here at Kent. This kind of word bubble thing, whatever we're calling it, kind of gives you an idea about the clubs and societies we have here at Kent. I'm sure you're relieved to hear I'm not going to go through every individual one because we'll be here until Christmas, I suspect. But it really gives you an idea about the variety and the diverse nature of the clubs and societies. So it's from the traditional kind of sports elements, whether it's rugby, cricket, football, all the way through to cooking, to regional aspects, to things such as looking at crafts, knitting, film, music. Whatever your interest is, there's guaranteed to have a society for you. I know there is a really fantastic Indian society which has done a lot over the last couple of years when it comes to supporting students from India. And they do a lot of activities throughout the year, and not just about kind of celebrating Indian culture and heritage, but also in bringing other students from other parts of the world into and really celebrating what it means to come from India. So it's a really great way to meet fellow students from India, but also kind of interact with other students as well. And what we do find is that students who are involved with these clubs and societies have a really enriching experience while they're studying at Kent. Because we know that when you are doing your studies, whether it's undergrad or postgrad, it can be very demanding. And you're doing a lot of work. Sometimes you can be by yourself, whether it be in the library or in your room, doing your research, doing your assignments. So it can be quite daunting at times. So these clubs and societies and events are a really great way to take a break from your studies, go and meet people, relax a little bit. And it's so important for your well-being and your mental health to really have that good study and work-life balance. So clubs and societies are a really great way to help students to achieve that. I very briefly mentioned about the other thing that we do really well here at the University of Kent is offering a lot of kind of diverse activities that students can get involved with. So both at our Canterbury and our Medway campuses, we have lots of sports equipment for students to use. I know at the Canterbury campus, they have a very large sports centre which has all of the equipment, tennis courts, a rugby field example, all very much multi-purpose sports halls for basketball, etc. So whatever your interest is guaranteed to be a sport club for you. They also have a sort of indoor and outdoor facilities. They have a gym as well, and they do a lot of range of classes, particularly during lunch times, whether it's Pilates or whether it's yoga, those kind of areas you can definitely get involved with. If sports not your thing, absolutely don't worry. You know, there's lots of other ways that you can kind of get involved. So they have on Canterbury Campus, we have a theatre, which does a lot of music and arts performances during the year, sometimes at lunchtime, sometimes over the weekend. And it's a really great way to kind of, you know, again, take a break. And if you are, you know, that way and kind of want to get involved, again, joining the theatre societies, for example, is a really good way to know, really kind of participate. And we also have a cinema as well. So again, it's a really good way to kind of take a break from your studies. So hopefully this has given you an idea about what it's like to study here at Kent, and the fact that our campus offers lots of ways that students can get that enriching student experience whilst they are studying with us. One of the other things at the University of Kent, one of the unique things we have is that the accommodation facilities are first class, both on Canterbury and the Medway accommodation. Focusing just a little bit firstly on the Canterbury accommodation, there are over 5,000 rooms available. And what we do recommend is international students do look to stay on Canterbury accommodation for their first year initially. For postgraduate students, we do recommend you stay on campus just for the ease of it and the safety and security. It's very much kind of everything on your doorstep. For undergraduate students, generally what students do is they would stay on campus for the first year and then would have this, you know, friends group built up, and then would stay off campus sharing accommodation with their friend network after the second and third year. A couple of things to know about the accommodation. The good thing is that you don't have to pay anything to reserve your room. So once you do get an unconditional offer from the University of Kent for your chosen course, you can go on to the accommodation pages on the website and just book it. It's very easy to do. And the good thing is that they have a wide range of rooms options available to suit whatever budget you have. The lowest room generally costs around just under £5,000, so between £4,000 to £5,000, and it can go up to about £13,000 to £14,000 per year, depending on what room choice you have. Most of the rooms are single occupancy, and they do have a couple of twin options available, but the vast majority are single occupancy only. There are some rooms that offer an ensuite, and some have a shared facility as well. All of the accommodation has like a communal kitchen area. So these would often be shared between sort of 6 to 8 other students. And it's a really great way to meet people and have that kind of social aspect when you are living. So I know a lot of students would sort of meet other students from the UK and other international outside sort of the UK. And it's a really great way to kind of build up a good friend network right at the beginning. One of the great things about the accommodation, as I said right at the beginning of my talk, is that it's all on campus. So depending on which room you choose, you're probably no more than a 10-minute walk from wherever you need to go within campus. It's so close and easy, very much easy to move around. The good thing about it is that all utility bills are included in the accommodation. You will have internet access, and everything is very much safe and secure. It's all kind of like key entry. There's 24-hour reception. If anything happens or you need help with anything, then someone is on hand to help you. And very similar to Canterbury, the Medway accommodation offers very much the same kind of facilities, internet again. All of the rooms on Medway are en suite. They range from about £5,000 to £6,000 per year. The great thing about the Medway accommodation, if you are an undergraduate student, there is a possibility that you could look to stay in for your second and third year studies as well. So that's one of the main differences between the two campuses, is that you have that option for Medway. And I know that the Medway accommodation also comes with a free sports membership as well. So again, if you are interested in sports, then having that membership is definitely a big win. No, okay, that's unfortunate. I knew something technical was always going to happen, but there was a nice video showing you parts of campus and what it's like to study there. But the internet gremlins have had their way, and unfortunately it's not working. So for me, just to kind of finish off, because I'm sure there's lots of questions and I'm keen to kind of get on to the questions as quickly as we can, but there's lots of information on our website, and there's lots of ways in which you can interact with the University of Kent through various different social media channels. We also, on our website, we have a system called UniBuddy, which is a kind of a chat system that you can actually chat with current students. So again, if you do have questions and you want to find out more from from an actual student who's studying with us, then the Uni Buddy system is a really great way to do that. But after today, if you do have any questions, please do feel free to get in touch with me. That's my email address on the screen. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you for such an informative session about the university. So it's my request to all the students, now you can use your raise hand button, and Emma gonna help you with all your queries, right, Emma?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so at first I'm gonna go ahead with Satyam. Satyam, if you're here with us, please unmute yourself and go ahead with your query.
Yeah, hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes, I can hear you. Hi, Satyam, how are you?
Very much fine, thank you. So it was a wonderful session. So actually my question is, currently I'm studying MSc Physics here in India, and
Okay.
I want to start my PhD journey at Kent. So I would like to know more about PhD studies there at Kent.
Okay, perfect. So when are you due to finish your masters?
Probably in December 2022.
22. Okay, so one of the good things about the PhD programs is that there generally are 3 intakes a year. So it's usually September, January, and some courses offer a kind of May start. So if you are finishing this year, then that gives you that flexibility of choice for next year. And generally for PhD applicants, you need to give yourself a minimum of 3 months for the application process to complete, because it is a little bit more detailed and there's a few more steps that you need to go through as opposed to applying for a master's or an undergraduate course. One of the biggest advice I can give you when it comes to applying for a PhD is that you do need to firstly have an idea about what research topic you want to focus on. So you do need to have a rough proposal in mind. And before you even submit an application to Kent, what you then need to do is contact the department here at the university and have a conversation with the supervisors to see if it's something that they can support you with. 9 times out of 10, people who do not do this will fail their application, because it's important to speak to your supervisor before you even submit an application, because you do need to have buy-in from an academic support member here at the university before you go down that process. One of the key things that we do look for when it comes to PhD applicants is obviously having the academic background is important, but also having kind of research skills and having that experience. So I don't know if obviously you're doing your master's, so research is part of that. But if you have been involved with any kind of research projects, have contributed to any journals or publications, all of these things will help to strengthen your application for a PhD. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull up, there's a really fantastic page on our website, which gives you a bit more information about the PhD application process, because it can be quite, confusing at times because of the different stages and because of the different process you have to follow. So this is a really good link here. Let me just pop it in the chat. So this page I've just popped in the chat for everyone is a really good starting point. So there, if you go onto the page, you'll see sort of a breakdown of the different research programs that we have available. But if you keep scrolling down, it gives you a bit more about funding opportunities as well. And there's a way that you can search for find the supervisors as well. So what you need to do is to find a supervisor. It comes up with a box. You just put in some keywords that best describe your research topic, and then it will highlight what professors or what lecturers have experience in that. So then they'll provide you with their contact details. You just email them directly and then have a conversation with them. And then hopefully they can then support your application going forward.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you for answering that. And I hope, Satyam, that answers your query. And now our next participant is Pratyush. So Pratyush, if you're here with us, please go ahead with your query.
Hello.
Hi, Pratyush.
Yes, hi. So my query is, hello. So my query is, I'm looking forward to do a bachelor's in exercise science.
Okay.
So I have a series of questions. The first question is, what is the curriculum of exercise science? Is it focusing more on the clinical aspect, or is it focusing more on the sports performance aspect?
I believe kind of it would focus more on the sports side, because I know that the health and science department who runs that particular course, a lot of the therapy would very much focus on sport and exercise, as opposed to more sort of practicing physiotherapy is not something that we offer. So it would be more on the sports side.
All right, thank you so much. So my ultimate goal is to become a strength and conditioning coach. So
Okay.
what should be my path after completing my BSc in exercise science from University of Kent?
That's a good question. I mean, I suppose it's I'm going to put it back on you, really. It's about kind of, doing your own research and seeing what kind of subjects and backgrounds professionals in that particular field usually offer. I mean, I know I'm going to be honest with you, my sort of knowledge of that particular field is not extensive, but I would suspect they would probably, most sort of people who do those jobs would generally have an undergrad and potentially a master's as well. Yes. in that particular area. So you might have to kind of not just do the undergrad, but obviously do a master's afterwards. But I think it's for you to maybe kind of do a bit of research into that particular area and seeing what the route is, the progression route, academic wise.
All right. And if I'm applying for 2023 fall intake in the University of Kent, when should my application be submitted to you in order to get first preference as well as some scholarship?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So there are two main ways of applying to the University of Kent. If you're applying through UCAS, then the deadline's usually around sort of mid to end of January. So if you're applying to multiple UK universities, then you would need to apply through UCAS. If you're applying just to Kent and Kent alone, you can apply directly to us. There is no specific application deadline. However, you mentioned scholarships, and that is one of the key factors, and it's something that I continually raise with students when I meet them, is that the earlier you apply, the more chance you have in being, in consideration for scholarships. Because most of the scholarships we have here at Kent have early deadlines. Some of them will close in April or May time, some of them will close around June time. So what you do need to do is have a look on the scholarship pages of the Kent website and see when the deadlines are and make sure you apply before that time. Because for most of the scholarships we have, one of the entry conditions is you do have to have an offer from Kent. So you do need to apply, get your offer, and then apply for the scholarships afterwards. So it's about kind of giving yourself enough time to go through those stages to be in contention for scholarship funding.
All right. 2023 June, right? Yes. All right. Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for September 23, if you're going to apply for UCAS, then you do need to get your application in by sort of that mid-January deadline. But if you're applying just to Kent, I would definitely say start applying around sort of November, December time to give yourself, sufficient time to get your application in and get your offer, hopefully by kind of January, February, which would give you more than enough time then to work on the scholarships.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Pratyush, for asking that. And now I'm going to unmute Rishabh. So, Rishabh, if you're here with us, please go ahead with your query.
Hello, I'm Rishabh here, and very good evening. I watched through your presentation that was there, and it was like really impressive. You must have spent a lot of time, and whatever that was presented in the presentation, it was really amazing. But I loved every aspect of it, and it is like really like entices me to go ahead and join you. But like, as you know, like, see, every rose has a thorn. Good things have bad things. Like, I want to pursue like computer science in your university, and like hello. Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, Rishabh.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, the silence was unnerving. Sorry. So what I was asking, like, I want to pursue computer science in your university, and I've heard all about the good things. But if I like ask you to like, what is the weak point of your university in computer science? What would you say?
Oh God, I don't think I've ever been asked that before. That's an interesting question. I suppose I don't want to say downside or weak point. I suppose the only area that we don't offer that many kind of specific kind of specialisms in computer science. So our sort of courses focus on three main areas initially. We have computer science as a more kind of general course. And then we have courses that focus on artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. And so those are the three main sort of specialist areas that we have. And so I know particularly some students are looking at sort of, you know, very specific areas or niche kind of courses such as, I don't know, gaming or coding, those kind of areas, or cloud-based programs. I know do come up quite a lot as well. And I think that's something that you would potentially have to go elsewhere if that's also what you're particularly looking for. But to flip it back around, I would say that the School of Computing is one of the strongest in the UK in terms of the courses I have mentioned already. The academic staff are not just professionals, you know, in academia, but they're also professionals in respected areas outside. They do work with a lot of industries, whether it be Microsoft, Google, Intel, or whatever it's going to be. But they also do a lot of kind of initiatives for students to get practical experience. So all of their courses come with year in industry, which again, as I mentioned, is a really great way to get some work experience. And the computer science courses, I mean, I've been to the lab a few times, and the facilities they have here, as a layman person who doesn't understand a lot about computers, it looks fantastic. And there are really great ways for students to kind of do a lot of practical elements within their degrees as well, because I know that computing is not just about reading your books. You have to actually do things practical things. So that is something that we do offer a great opportunity for students to get involved with.
Thank you. And my last question, probably, I have a bunch of questions, but I know the time doesn't permit it. But
sure, no, it's fine. Ask away.
No, just the last question. What should I say? How do you select your applicants, like those who apply? Like, what aspects do you look in the students, those who apply to you? You know, like, you don't accept all the 100,000 students that apply to you. You accept a few bunch. You know, you want everyone wants the better part to work it into even better. So, like, what do you look in us when you are accepting us?
And I think that's a really important question. And so there are two main things that we look for students. Academically, you do need to be able to complete the degree. So whether it be undergrad or postgrad, there are certain kind of marks that you need to achieve in your studies to get entry onto our courses. So that's the first thing. We look for academic, can the student study this particular course? And so that's quite easy for us to judge, because obviously we just look at transcripts and so forth. We look at references to see how that individual is in terms of their student and their studies. So that's very kind of easy to do in terms of the assessment. The second thing we look for, and I know for particularly academic schools such as School of Computing, they do look at this really closely, is they look at different aspects of your application. So they will look in detail at the reference letters. So it's really important when you are selecting your referees to pick people that know you, not just as a student. They can say, you know, but they need to know what you're like as a student. So they need to talk about sort of your achievements, who you are as an individual. You know, are you motivated? Are you ambitious? All of these things need to be highlighted in your reference letters. And the other aspect, which I cannot stress enough the importance of, is the personal statement, or the SOP, statement of purpose. So this is something that many students do fall down at, sadly, is because, but when it comes to the admissions and the academic staff, they really do look a lot and put a lot of focus on the personal statement. So we want to know who you are as an individual. So your statement is about kind of showcasing you. It's about showing off it is essentially showing off sort of all of your achievements and what skills you have and how they are relevant to the course you are studying. So it's really important to focus and spend a lot of time on your personal statement, because that's often where students kind of fall down, unfortunately.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It was nice speaking to you.
You too.
Thank you, Rishabh, for asking that. And now I'm going to unmute Aditya. Aditya, if you're here with us, go ahead with your query.
Yeah, hi, Emma. Good evening. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah,
yes, I can. Loud and clear.
Okay, so I'm looking for my son's engineering educations for September 23, the next year intake. Now I have
Okay.
all confusion here. When you most of the UK, I mean, universities in England offer 3 years, correct? So what is this confusion? 3 years and 4 years, and whether the fourth year is compulsory, and whether that fourth year will make the student more competitive.
Mhm. So I know for most of our programs, they generally are 3 years in length. If there is a fourth year, often it would be because there are year in industries that are involved. So I know for many of the engineering programs, particularly sort of the electronic or computer engineering programs, I know there's biomedical engineering as well, and all of them offer a year in industry. And the reason why it says 4 years is because the year in industry would be inbuilt into the course itself. So students, what they would usually do is they would do the first 2 years of their studies, and then they would take a break in the third year and go to do their year in industry placement for that year. So they would work, and then after that year, they'd come back to complete the final year of their studies. So essentially, it would be a 4-year course in total. Generally, I always urge people to consider doing the year in industry as an option, because it's a really great way to kind of build on the course, to get that work experience. And so it's such a good opportunity to get some practical skills, you know, that builds on the academic studies that you have. But for some students, you know, a year in industry is not what they're looking for, so they would just do the usual 3-year degree.
Just a follow-up question there. So when they do this third year in an industry, will the tuition fees remain the same or no?
So for the year in industry, there are no tuition fees for that particular year. There might be some small administrative costs. I think this year they were around 1,400, something like that, for sort of small admin costs, but that would be the only fees. And the really thing that's worth noting about the year in industry is that the students would actually earn a wage whilst they are working. So it's not an internship. They would actually earn salary while they are working. So it's a good way for them to support themselves for that year.
Hey, Emma, just sorry, the last question on that. So tell me something, will the university assistant getting the industry working, or I mean, it just purely luck? I mean, the student might get it or might not get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the important thing to note is that the student very much drives forward, the recruitment process of the year in industry. So it's up to the individual themselves to go out and find their own placement. So students are not automatically put somewhere, but they will have the support of the departments. So within the business school, the School of Computing, for example, they have a dedicated placement or employability team that their job is to do nothing but support students when it comes to looking for placement options. We have had a number of students that go to large companies such as HSBC, GlaxoSmithKline, for example, the pharmaceutical company. They do welcome a lot of students on the year in industry placement each year. So there are lots of opportunities for students to go and work in multinational companies, but it is very much student driven. So students have to be proactive. And I think this is something that's really important, is to really emphasize that the student has to be the one to go out. They have to go through the application process. Sometimes they have to actually do an interview for their year in industry placement as well. But it's really good experience, I think, because when it comes to looking for jobs afterwards, we all have to go through that process of an application form. So if you do it during your studies, it really gives you a good experience in doing that.
Yeah, thanks. That's quite informative. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya, and thanks, Amma, for answering that. And now, next, I'm going to unmute Tavishi. Tavishi, if you're here with us, go ahead with your query.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Emma. Hi, that was a really informative PPT. Thank you for giving us that and all the information. Probably, I really needed this session to attend. And about coming to my question is that I'm interested to do my master's, master's in business analytics.
Okay.
And when I was going through the university's website, I see that there are two different options there. One is for 12 months and the other one is for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years thing has placement program in it. So I really could not understand what's the difference and what could be better for me. And the future that I see after completing my business analytics is that I want to work there, and I
Okay.
want to be into placement. So that is the focus I have.
Sure.
So
And that's a good question, actually, because that's something we do get asked quite a lot about, is, you know, the difference between these two options. And I think academically, there is absolutely no difference. So, you know, if you're doing the 1-year program or the 2-year program, everyone would do the same academic course. The main difference is the one that's doing the 2 years would have that industry placement after it. That's the only main difference. And I think particularly, exactly as you said, that you want to go into a career and want to work in this area, then perhaps looking at the year in industry is a good option for you, because it might give you that stepping stone to going on and developing a career in that particular field. And so that might be something to consider. But as I said, a lot of students would just do the 1-year masters and then without the year in industry. So it's more of a personal choice, really, of which you prefer to do. I suppose the big thing that I don't think I've mentioned yet, but it's probably worth highlighting, is that no matter what course you choose, whether it is the year in industry or the one without the year in industry, do not forget that you would be eligible to apply for the graduate route afterwards. So I'm sure everyone watching this has heard of this already, you know, the UK visa option to extend your stay in the UK for up to 2 years to work here after you've graduated. Yeah. So even if you do the 1-year masters plus the year in industry, you can apply to remain after that year in industry, which would give you another 2 years. So essentially you could be in the UK for 4 years. 3 of them would be working. So it's a good option to think about as well.
Right. Thank you. And I have one last question, is that what do you see in a student when you're going through the scholarship applications? What is it exactly that one thing that you look for and decide, yes, this is a person worthy of the scholarship?
So that's a really good question. I suppose the main thing is it all depends on what scholarship you're applying for. The most popular ones for Indian students tend to be the British Council's Great Scholarship, which is available for postgraduate students. So that's £10,000. That is an academic scholarship initially. So what we tend to do for that particular scholarship is we sort of look at an individual's GPA or CGPA, and we would shortlist based on that initially. So for that scholarship, and also a number of the other Kent scholarships we have, they tend to be merit-based. But that's not the only kind of eligibility criteria that we look at. So we use the academic records as a way of kind of shortlisting initially, and then we look at, you know, the top caliber of students who've all achieved over 9.5 and above GPA. We then look at them as an individual. So things such as your personal statement. For many of the scholarships, you'll also be asked to provide a supporting letter or supporting statement as well. So we do look at that during the shortlisting. So generally, I mean, when I'm involved with the shortlisting for many of the scholarships we have, and I always look for people who are motivated, who are ambitious, who are dedicated, not just to their studies, but also to the enhancement of that particular field. And it's about kind of giving back in the long term as well. So helping community or whatever area they're looking to develop in the future. So we're looking for that kind of all-round individual. If you have experience in that area, I definitely would highlight that in your personal statement, because again, that really helps to kind of show your motivation behind doing these particular courses and working in these particular industries. But yeah, motivation and ambition are the main things that we really, really we value a lot when it comes to scholarships.
Right. Thank you so much for providing me that information.
Thanks, Emma, for answering that. And now I'm gonna spam you with one of the last question our contestants wanna ask. So
sure.
Joel, Jose, if you're here with us, go ahead with your query.
Am I audible?
Yeah,
yes,
please go ahead.
Actually, I have a bunch of questions. First of all, I am a research aspirant. Like, I'm not a research student. I like to do researches. So I had done quite a few. I want to know if it would be an advantage to my application or not.
So sorry, I missed the first bit. You said, can you just repeat what you said?
Bachelor's. I am applying
Yeah.
for bachelor's, and I
Yeah.
am an amateur researcher. So I had done
Okay.
quite a few researches. So
Okay.
I want to know whether it would be an advantage for me in the application process.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, I mean, for nearly all, I think actually all of our bachelor's programs, there isn't a mandatory requirement that you have experience in that area. You often just have to have academic background. But I would definitely say it's an advantage to have, whether it be extracurricular, whether it be research experience as well. It really helps to strengthen your application. So definitely highlight that, whether it be in the experience area of your application, or you can highlight it in your personal statement as well. Because I know particularly for a lot of our departments, I'm thinking predominantly Kent Business School, School of Computing, often the engineering and biosciences areas as well. They really do value people that come with experience beyond academic studies.
My next question is actually, ma'am, I have gone through your admission procedure in the Kent University website. So I had gone across a question like date of first residence in UK. I don't know what to do with that question.
You say date, residency,
Date of-
UK residency.
Yeah, date of first residence in UK.
Okay, so are you resident in India at the moment?
Yeah, currently I'm in India.
Okay, and are you an Indian national or do you hold UK nationality as well?
I'm an Indian national.
Okay, so usually when it comes to sort of nationality, particularly on the fee side, we do assess students kind of what category they fall into, whether it's international or home-based. Generally, it sounds like it's obviously you're based in India at the moment, and you've got internationality. I suspect you would come under sort of the international category rather than sort of the UK home system.
And ma'am, my next question is that I had seen another question like CAS. If you want to apply for CAS or not. So I don't know what CAS is, to be honest.
Okay, no, that's fine. So CAS is the actual kind of, it stands for Certificate of Acceptance of Studies. And basically it's kind of, it's the paperwork that you need to apply for your student visa to come to the UK. So what happens is that once you get an unconditional offer, whatever course you're applying for, if you get an unconditional offer and you accept that, you then progress to the CAS stage. And that's when we finalize your application, and we give you necessary documents to allow you to apply for your student visa. It's a really important part of the process that all international students have to go through. And it's something that's actually happening at the moment. So usually CASs start issuing from kind of May onwards, but now is their peak time because obviously a lot of students are finalizing their offers to come in September. So it is something you would have to do during the application process.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your assistance.
No worries at all.
Well, thank you, Emma, for picking all these questions and helping our students to, get through their paths. And with this, we come to end of this session. And thank you so much for all the participants and making this session more interesting by asking all the Q&As.
Yes.
Now eventually it's time to say goodbye. So thank you, Emma, for this informative session, and thank you all the students, and have a great day.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone. Nice to see you all.
Bye-bye.